Elena Meke Aloha. I'm Joshua Cooper, your host, and welcome to Aloha Sustainability in Hawaii and Peace in our Pacific, the UN SDG movement in Moana Nui Akea. Today, we're looking at decent work for all in an inclusive economy, and green growth and good employment in Hawaii, and it's an honor to welcome Patrick. The UN Sustainable Development Goals provide 17 global goals to accomplish and actualize the 2030 Agenda. UN SDG 8 aspires for a life above abundance for all. Decent work and economic growth centers around creating opportunities of dignity for all in our democracy, to earning a living wage and a life of well-being. It's such an honor to welcome Patrick because he's dedicated his life not only to wish for a better world, but to work daily to make that happen. Thank you, Patrick.
Hi, thank you so much, Joshua. My name is Patrick Gartside, and I'm with Work Now Hawaii. We're a 501(c) nonprofit organization aimed to help people with disabilities find success in employment.
Can you share a bit what inspired you to begin this important initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a person living with a disability myself, I saw an opportunity to provide job opportunities and job trainings to people living with disabilities. So I've lived with mental health challenges all my life, and was fortunate to have an employer that offered me reasonable accommodations so I could be successful in employment. And I wanted to see a path like that for others.
That's amazing. And you didn't just do one initiative, you have a couple initiatives that are so valuable.
Thank you. Yes, I've been working with Work Now Hawaii since it's started in 2017. We do a lot of client-based work and one-on-one work, but saw a need for some systemic change and started a local chapter of a national organization, the Association of People Supporting Employment First. So now we have a Hawaii chapter, and we're focused on advocacy, policy, training, and innovation.
Excellent. And when we look at Global Goal 8, we know it aims to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth of full and productive employment with decent work for all. And in Hawaii, people and associates have been coming together to ensure economic paths to pursue that balance, equality, and equity. Can you share some of the important aspects of why a job is so important for everyone to be able to engage in?
Absolutely, yeah. A job is not only just financial security in someone's life, it gives a meaning in someone's life. It gives a reason to wake up in the morning and give back to their society. Competitive integrated employment is an opportunity for people to interact with everybody in our community.
Excellent. And that's, of course, absolutely essential when we're looking at the world we live in. We have civil and political rights that we all talk about and discuss, such as freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom to participate in politics. But economic, social, and cultural rights are so valuable in this era of globalization. Can you maybe share a bit of some success stories where people have been able to have this new path and what they've been able to accomplish with that?
We see a lot of opportunity with the transition age youth. So individuals who are in high school, ready to graduate, maybe they're in their junior or senior year of high school, and they are looking to get into the workforce. Now, someone living with a disability might not have the same opportunities as somebody else. So we've seen the opportunity to give them jobs and job training, build credentials on their resumes, and graduate out into competitive integrated employment. So taking a student who might not otherwise have a natural path to employment and giving them that opportunity.
That reminds me also of one of the projects that you were able to work with is web design and even graphic art. I remember some of the most amazing flyers that one of the employees worked on and that we're able to then share with the rest of the world around Human Rights Day.
Thank you. Yes, we've had the great opportunity to work with students who have interest in digital media. So we've taken them through our digital media training course where they build flyers and websites and digital ad campaigns for local companies and the state government here.
As we can see by 8.5, there's a lot of work that needs to be done by 2030 to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men. Patrick, can you share with us why that's so valuable and crucial here in Hawaii?
The people of Hawaii, people living with disabilities here in Hawaii, are underpaid, underemployed, and these are items that we need to take action on. People with disabilities have value, and their value should be rewarded with fair wages. So these are some of the targets that we work on, and the indicators of average hourly earnings for men, women, people with disabilities, and then the unemployment of people with disabilities is dramatically higher for people with disabilities. And we are working on those.
Thank you so much. And then maybe you can give us some examples of engagement in what you've been able to do with Work Now Hawaii that then changes the direction of how that's been. Those stunning statistics you share, you've been able to show with simple examples of how people are able to change their lives and how Work Now Hawaii is being a catalyst for positive change to improve our community.
Definitely. We are dedicated to providing the training and resources and employment opportunities to help people with disabilities succeed in the workforce. And on the next slide, we believe that just like John F. Kennedy, all of us do not have equal talent, but all of us should be given equal opportunity to develop those talents. And we do this through our training programs. So we, once again, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our mission is to create and support the employment for people living with disabilities. And we believe in employment options for anybody with a disability. To the point that you talked about earlier, 8.5 by 2030, achieve full and productive employment and decent work for women, men, including young and persons with disabilities, and equal pay for equal value. The population that we serve are transition age youth living with disabilities, so 14 to 22, graduating from high school. We help them navigate their first employment opportunity and help them understand what it means to earn a paycheck. We also help individuals who are struggling with work because of a disability. We do this through career planning, goal setting, job coaching, job development, and then we help with the job placements. So we help bridge the connection between individuals with disabilities and the employers. We also help individuals with disabilities looking to re-enter the workforce, helping them navigate their government benefits, which is sometimes a huge barrier to employment. Some of the employment services that we provide are discovery and career planning, which is learning about what a person's interests and abilities are. Individualized job development is making those connections with the businesses in the community. The benefits counseling, making sure that people understand what happens to government benefits as they work and they become taxpayers. Job coaching and supports, making sure that people can learn how to do their job and become effective at their job. So that way they can be compensated fairly for the work that they do. And then we do this through our work-based learning programs, transition age youth getting that experience, that line on the resume that said they've been successfully employed and successfully able to learn about the types of jobs that they're interested in.
That's perfect, Patrick. When you look at that, it shows also how unique you've been showing. Can you give a bit about the breadth and depth from custodial to digital? I believe there's 4 different areas that you focus on.
Yeah, we started with custodial services. Seemed to be a job that most people were able to do. It's very easy to see if something's clean or not. So figured we'd teach some people how to clean and give them paid jobs in that field. Met a lot of people who were interested in other types of work. Met a young woman who was interested in photography. So we explored that, and we started a digital photography, and which evolved into our website development and digital media training program, which has been a tremendous opportunity for the transition age youth. We've expanded into landscape servicing and groundskeeping. And finally, this past semester, we've taken students into a food service training program, which has been very exciting for the youth.
Now, that is exciting to look at custodial, also looking out the way at food production. It really shows the gamut of what we can all do together for good to have green growth here in Hawaii. Could you give us a couple more examples maybe of amazing people who have come forward and how they've been able to change their personal lives, but also make a positive addition to Hawaii?
Absolutely. We see the transition age youth come through our program. This food service training program this year was very exciting. Some of the students have now been working in the commercial kitchen over at Pacific Gateway Center, learning how to do food prep and work in a kitchen. We've been working with the Hawaii Restaurant Association, who's working to pair those students with employers in their area. So some of the students have already been offered positions.
That's exciting, and that fits into another one of the important targets: developing and operationalize a global strategy for youth employment and implementing Global Jobs Pact of the International Labor Organization. So these international instruments are valuable, but of course they must be brought to the ground so that the global meets the ground, and more importantly, we can improve our islands with these international standards that match a certain level of what we should all strive for. Because too often maybe we say it's difficult or challenging, but the truth is we all have an opportunity to organize together to make sure that everyone gets to enjoy these fundamental human rights and, of course, these global goals. Can you share a bit about what this important national NGO has been able to bring to us here in Hawaii and how you're able to partner together to improve lives?
What's been very exciting bringing the Hawaii Association of People Supporting Employment First to Hawaii is to see the systems change that's been happening right here at home. This past legislative session, our legislator passed the Employment First bill, which directs the state to provide employment services to individuals with disabilities before any other services. It's been a very exciting time. Governor Ige signed this bill into law, and moving forward, the state will act as a model employer for hiring people with disabilities.
What I think is really powerful about the work that you do, Patrick, first and foremost, it's making an impact in individual people's lives, making sure that everyone is able to achieve this Article 8, but then also looking at the process and getting involved, as you're sharing with this new group, public policy, to make sure that we change the entire system, because for too long it didn't include everyone. And what's so important about the UN global goals is first and foremost to leave no one behind, but then also to make sure that furthest behind first is the priority in our public policy. And as you shared that law, that really then provides a new direction going forward that focuses on the equality of all, making sure everyone can have equity, but then ensuring the economy also works for everyone. So what's so important as we look at this, individual lives being transformed by being able to have employment, but also as we're focusing on the entire system and looking at the process to engage everyone, what's exciting is in both of the initiatives you brought to the islands of making sure that everybody has employment, and number two, making sure that we look at public policy to make sure these global goals are actualized on the ground, to make sure that we actualize the 2030 agenda in Hawaii with Aloha. One of the ways that of course has been done is through Human Rights Day that takes place usually around March 8th, International Women's Day. Can you share some of your experience around Human Rights Day and bringing the message of global goal number 8?
For this year, March 8th, we are actually looking to host a summit on employment first. We're bringing together state leaders, employment support professionals, and employment service agencies together to really focus on this systems change. We are focused on establishing an office of employment first, somewhere where we can bring in the training and resources that are needed to help support the employment for people living with disabilities.
Are there some promising practices that the state is doing correct that we can build on? Or do we really need to dig deep and change things even more?
Right now, we're digging deep. We're reaching out to subject matter experts and nonprofits around the country to bring this critical training to our state. So we're working with the Colorado Office of Employment First on a train the trainer model so that we can have a sustainable model of employment services and here in Hawaii.
That's interesting. Also, there's a conference that usually takes place in the spring. Can you share if that giant global conference on disability rights has been a positive tool to also assist in transforming to achieve global goal number 8?
Absolutely. The Pacific Rim Conference on Disability and Diversity is on March 6th and 7th this year. It's the 38th annual, and it brings together, once again, people from around the Pacific Rim with their best practices around employment, education, various other topics.
And as you share about that, when you've been able to attend those in the past, has there been one or two ideas that you heard from other islands that then was really positive that you thought you could maybe continue that practice here in Hawaii and maybe even scale it up?
Absolutely. Now, my focus has been primarily on employment and leveraging the national organization of APSI and bringing some of these best practices back to here to Hawaii has been one of our biggest goals.
It really reminds me, although we're looking at the global goals and specifically today, global goal number 8, decent work and economic growth, it's also the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 23, looks at a couple of things that I think we can both discuss about the state of here in Hawaii. It says everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work. It also says everyone who works has the right to a just and favorable remuneration, ensuring for himself and his family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented, if necessary, by other means of social protection. How are we doing here in Hawaii on actualizing Article 23 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
What might be surprising to many is just a few years ago, Hawaii was allowed to, or employers in Hawaii were allowed to pay sub-minimum wages to people with disabilities. We've come so far by not allowing these sub-minimum wages to be paid to people with disabilities. So one big step towards equal pay. So competitive integrated employment means equal pay for equal work, and that's something that we're still struggling with. But these are some of the things that we're working on.
As we look at the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, specifically Article 6 on the right to work, we also can see how that's been reinforced in this era of globalization with General Comment number 18. And what that really is looking at is that the right to work is guaranteed, and it affirms the obligation of states to assure individuals their right to freely chosen or accepted work. And you can maybe share a bit about how that's being actualized here in Hawaii, Patrick.
Thank you. With the movement of employment first, I mean, what it really means is that people with disabilities should be able to work if they want to in the communities that we live in the same place that non-disabled people do. People with disabilities should be able to get the supports they might need to work. People with disabilities should earn the same wages that their non-disabled peers do. And people with disabilities should get real work for real pay as a first choice instead of the government trying something else before that. Real work for real pay is competitive integrated employment. It's real work for real pay by people with disabilities who perform their jobs alongside people without disabilities and have the opportunity to advance or be promoted just like everybody else. What employment first is not? Well, it's not charity, it's not pity, it's not a quota, it's not a good hustle, and it's not selective.
It's so true. And it really rings in our ears because people do not understand the importance of what employment is beyond, as you described, receiving funding and being able to do that. It's that sense also of dignity and worth. And the way that you summarized it just now so passionately really brings us all together to look at why this SDG number 8, what's behind it. You've been able to bring faces to Global Goal 8 in ways that most people have never imagined. And we really admire all the work that you do to make sure that Global Goal 8 is actually taking place here on the ground. And it reminds me of the different aspect of some of the projects we worked on. I remember when we actually took all 17 global goals and then matched the NGOs here in Hawaii, the nonprofit associations, the non-governmental groups that are really dedicated to this. And we're able to see what a rich history we have here in Hawaii of people understanding their kuleana, their responsibility to help make sure everyone can realize their rights. And I remember going through that exercise with you, but also the Human Rights Day and some other aspects of those cool slides you were sharing about the work of Work Now Hawaii.
Yes, that was a great exercise, and it was a tremendous training opportunity for people looking to get some great work.
What's so exciting as we look at the global goals and at the rights enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is that sometimes we need legislation, strategies, and policies, but it all begins with the people movement to actualize 2030 here on the ground. Patrick, can you share with us some of those initiatives that really resonate with the international obligations, but what you've been able to do here in our islands of Hawaii?
Through our training programs, we've had the opportunity to work on various digital media projects. We worked with the state on some projects for the EMS, Injury Prevention Systems branch, building out their trauma website, their suicide prevention website. We've also had the opportunity to work with the Hawaii Institute for Human Rights and building out a website that pairs local nonprofit organizations with the sustainable development goals that they're working on. Had the opportunity to build out several flyers and information about Human Rights Day here in Hawaii. So it's been a great opportunity for training as well as working on these human rights goals.
It's even more than that, Patrick, as you look at it. I mean, you're making sure that people who have been excluded are now engaging, but that what they're doing is in saving the lives of other people. So it sort of shows our collective will and what's possible when we all work together. I really want to thank you for sharing with us more about Global Goal 8 here on the ground, because Goal 8 calls for a people-centered approach to prosperity that's also respecting our planet. It's a sustainable economy enabling creation of decent jobs, promoting dignity and improving living standards here in our islands. And as we look at it, it's working conditions improving and the well-being increasing in the pursuit of Global Goal 8 to ensure everyone has access to achieve their aspirations, to ensure a better life. Thank you for sharing and giving us a glimpse into Global Goal 8 here on the ground in Hawaii, and keep doing the important work that you're doing to achieve the 2030 agenda. Mahalo.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.